Hey everyone, wife's out of town tonight, so I snuck in a game of Warhammer. My Warriors of Chaos buddy obliged, and so it's Orcs Goblins versus the Warriors. 2,500 points. You can see my Warriors opponent has a couple new models that he's gotten painted up and brought over. He's got a shiny new War Shrine there. And I've got a couple guys I'm getting base paints on. You can see him kind of in the front there, but I haven't gotten a chance to do a lot of hobby. I've been playing so many games lately. Got to get back to painting. So here's the board. We get Dawn Attack. And there's a river thrown off to the side, a forest. The marsh in the middle is like the Camary one, I think, where it's dangerous terrain, but it's super dangerous terrain if you're a monster of any type, and you'll just get your like monsters, infantry, monsters, cavalry, and you'll just, instead of dangerous terrain taking a wound, you'll just lose the model completely. The Steadfast Sanctum and 2 buildings. So my Chaos opponent has Lore of Nurgle on his level 4. He's got the Vortex, the regen, the toughness debuff / buff, and then the direct damage spell. I should note that I have Gork'll Fix It, Sneaky Stabbin' on my level 2, and then my level 4 has Foot of Gork, Here We Go, Fist, and Gaze. Then we go into deployment here, and remember, it's Dawn Attack, so I can't control this at all. In fact, it's totally all over the place. So there's a Mangler and a Pump Wagon on this side. By the way, the list I'm playing, a buddy of mine, the one who plays Empire with me all the time, he threw this together, trying to get a whole bunch of drops and seeing how many he could get. He tossed it to me at work. I looked it over. I was like, well, we're playing tonight. I'll try it. And so that's kind of what the theme is. There's a whole bunch of drops. And then, of course, we get Dawn Attack, so it doesn't really matter anyway. I get to go second. But so that's the theme, and that's why some of the choices aren't exactly what I would make. As you can see, there's a Pump Wagon there. It doesn't have any upgrades. There's a Mangler. There's some Wolf Riders in the forest and a Troll. And then my BSB, I knew he didn't have shooting, so I wasn't going to put him in a unit, but then he rolled here on the far flank, so I probably should have done that. 2 Board Chariots, a group of Savages with level 4 in there with the Lucky Shrunken Head, of course, Spear Chukka. Then I've got a Doom Diver in the building for a little protection, big bus of Goblins, and they've got nets, and there's only one flippin' Fanatic in there. I didn't realize until we started playing. I looked at the list my buddy made. Ugh, what a bastard. And then there's a Shaman in there, level 2. Group of Board Boys, Mangler Squig, a Ragnarok Spider, and Black Orcs, and a Troll over here on the flank, where I totally don't want them. I did the Spider first, he ended up on the flank, and of course I ended up crowding the line, and it's just how it goes, but it's going to be painful. Over here, my Chaos opponent has a group of Hellstriders. You can tell we're going to be using a ton of Chariots, because we are out of Chariot models. We have like 2 more on orders for the battle reports, one for Chaos and one for the Orcs and Goblins. Are just not here yet. So that Mournfang is a Chariot. He's got a group of Skull Crushers, a second Chariot, a group of Dogs. He's got his Warriors with Halberds, and his level 4s in there. Second group of Dogs. A War Shrine, looking all nice and pretty. Then a group of Chosen, and he ends up at the beginning of the game rolling, and they get +1 strength. So no Demon Prince again. And then finally a group of Knights to round things out. So he takes his Vanguard movement first, moves his Hellstriders over there, kind of boxing me in a little bit, but he can't quite get around me. Then he has his 2 Dogs move up like you can see. I move my Spiders out first, and my Goblin Wolf Riders to kind of block there and be little redirectors and to kind of block their Vanguard movement. Alright, so Warriors of Chaos, of course, get the first turn. I haven't gone first in like 25-30 games, I've decided. But the Hellstriders move up, and it's a little arguable whether they could fit, but we said, screw it, so they're right there. And over here, everyone just moves up on this flank. His Dogs move forward toward the Mangler. As you can kind of see, they're getting ready. They know they're going to come, and they want to leap on that Mangler so it doesn't hit any fun targets, sadly. And then basically he pulls his, he's starting to move his other stuff to the left flank. He wants nothing to do with the right flank. And I wouldn't either. They've got Black Orcs over there in the Ragnarok. Screw it, they're stuck over there. During Magic, it's 3 dice to 2. He throws 2 dice at the War Shrine, and I dispel it with my 2. And then he tries for 1 dice Ruby Ring on my Dogs, you can see there, but fails to cast. So that's the end of the turn. We go to Orcs and Goblins 1. I fail Animosity on my Goblins, and they have to charge, so they declare charge over there at the Dogs. I declare a charge on his Dog with mine. I want to get him out of the way because I got a Mangler Squig coming up that flank, and I'd love to have that thing survive. My Dogs make it in. And you can see the rest of them move up. The Mangler Squig is now on the side of the Dogs and looking right at those Knights, so I'm very happy there. Pump Wagon moves up. I moved the troll out pretty aggressively, and I kind of wish I hadn't done that, but that's what I ended up doing. And then kind of moving the chariots around there. You can see the other chariots coming around the savages. I want to get those guys up into combat. I moved my spiders into the quicksand just on movement, so it's not dangerous terrain for them, just because they're normally moving. And this way, if I'm not really effectively blocking, but this is where I had kind of moved that troll up and shouldn't have. He would have had to take some leadership tests and maybe charge the spiders in the quicksand and take some dangerous terrain. But you know what, his general's there, I take that back. He would have passed that just fine. I think his BSB might even be close enough. Okay, his BSB's not there, just the general, but they probably wouldn't have failed. But I mean, at least there's a target where if he wants to charge it, he has to worry about some dangerous terrain. And then my goblins failed their long charge into the dogs. I moved my mangler up. That's as far as they can get, right in front of the dogs. He doesn't bounce through. He was like 1 inch away from bouncing through as well, and that would have been pretty sweet. Then the spider moves up, and I move my black orcs into the building because they are just stuck on that side. And by the way, they have the +1 movement banner. I really like that on the black orcs, but it was going to be way too long to go around the building, and I wouldn't be able to get a charge in to help out. So into the building we go. During Magic, it's 5 dice to 4. I failed to cast the throw of the dice that juiced up Foot of Gork on the Chosen, and I failed to cast it, unfortunately. Shooting, I go for bow shots on the dogs in front of the Mangler and end up doing 1 wound. Not enough to panic, and I was hoping I might have sunk 2 in to get them out of the way. The Doom Diver puts 2 wounds on the Skull Crushers, which is not bad. Aim the Spear Chuck at it, and it misses. In close combat, it's a tie. The dogs just sit there looking at each other. Here's a shot at the end of my turn, and a shot at what the right flank looks like. And it's Chaos turn 2. The Chariot declares a charge into my Chariot, and I hold. I'd probably go off the board or get pretty close, and that's fine. It'll be right out there in the middle. Then the Skull Crushers declare a charge on my Troll, and I'm like, well, I can flee, because he's going to end up right there, and I only go 2 inches, and he ends up catching me. So you can see there he caught me, but now he's sitting right in front of my Savages, and I love that. Otherwise, when he gets close enough within 8, the Chariot, during its charge and its way into my Chariot, I release a Fanatic. Now I looked it up. It said you can release the Fanatic from any point on the unit, or it seemed to imply any point on the unit, not just the front arc. So I just sent him out the side. Ended up going through the Chariot, doing 3 wounds, and I bounced through the Chariot. It didn't hit me, so the Fanatic didn't die. He made a decent amount of movement and put 3 wounds out there, so I don't mind that. His dogs move into my Mangler, kill it, sadly. Gotta expect that, though. This is the one on the right flank. This is what that flank ends up looking like after movement. And so I just replaced the Mangler model on the left flank. That's why it might be confusing. So he doesn't want to run his knights through my Mangler, which I totally understand because it'd be an extra d6 of hits. But he passes... Yeah, he must have passed his leadership to March. And he moves his guys back and away. Now, this is where he made a mistake. You can see it's a nice... if I roll well enough, I'm going to go through all 3 of those guys there. And he just hasn't played with the Mangler that much. And we were kind of talking through it, and I think we had a miscommunication. I'm like, yeah, you should definitely move him back. And he put him there as opposed to just kind of straight back, so I had to pick a target. So that's where he ends up, and I'm very happy about that. His Chariot just kind of moves over to the middle. During Magic, it's 9 dice to 6. He throws 3 dice of Curse of the Leper on my Chariot, and he gets Irresistible Force. And I end up losing 2 toughness, so that's going to hurt come impact hits. And in the Backlash, all that happens, he's sitting on 6 dice left. He just loses all 6 from the power pool, or from the power pool. So phase is over. All right, I guess that's what's going to happen. In close combat, I end up taking 4 wounds from the impact hits, just because I was at toughness 3 and he was strength 5. And then he landed a hit before I got to go, didn't overrun, and that's where he ended up. His dogs go first and kill my dogs. Let me go into Orcs and Goblins too. I fail Animosity on my spiders, and they have to charge. Yeah, just happens. Over here, I declare a charge on the Chariot, and it decides to flee, and it gets pretty far away, so I end up failing my charge. The Mangler gets the perfect run, gets just enough distance that he basically had to go through all 3 guys before he could pop out, and blows up the dogs, puts 4 chosen kills, and kills 4 knights. which is pretty great for me. Now he's out of control, spinning around the back. The Fanatic goes through the spiders and the warriors, kills 1 spider and 2 warriors. Not too bad. The Savages make their charge into the flank of the Skull Crushers here, and I pull the Chariot right into the front of it, so there'll be a whole bunch of impact hits. The Savages also have the big Stabba. And then the Gobos move just up toward the middle to kind of cast some spells and do what they need to do. In Magic, it's 9 versus 6. I throw 3 dice at Sneaky Stabbin' on the Savages, and he dispels it with 4 of his 6 dice. And then I throw the remaining 6 at Foot of Gork, and didn't get Irresistible Force, so he used his Dispel Scroll wisely. It was a juiced up version as well. I was going to stomp. Oh, I was going to stomp everyone. It was going to be so great. The Spear Chukka during shooting misses on the Chariot that was like just right in front of it, going to charge, but because it missed, I felt, well, I didn't want to lose it, so I shot the Doom Diver at it and took it out with that shot. The spiders are killed outright over here by the, well, by a couple warriors, but I think the caster actually got a few kills in himself. He's no slouch. I land 6 impact hits between the Big Stabba and the Chariot, and he armor saved all but 1 of them. It was pretty impressive. During the combat, I lose the Chariot. He directs all the attacks there. It just gets obliterated. And then I do a whole bunch of wounds to him. There's only 1 wound left on that Skull Crusher, and he breaks, and I can't catch him, sadly. And this is a shot of what the end of the turn looks like. Alright, Chaos turn 3. Now I'm getting the old double charge here. So it's a charge from the Warriors into the flank and a charge from the Chosen into the front. And he also declares a charge with his Knight on my Pump Wagon, which will resolve assuming he doesn't fail his charge with the Chosen. And everyone makes it in over here. His Knight makes it in just fine over here, and then his Skull Crusher rallies. The Hellstriders charge into the building to try to take out the Doom Diver. During Magic, it's 6 dice to 5, and he throws all 6 dice at Curse of the Leper. And that son of a bitch gets Irresistible Force. So now he rolls, I am 3 toughness debuffed. Yeah, that's right. That's toughness 1 on those Savage Orcs. It's gonna be awful. But he miscast, and he gets he rolls like a, what is it, a 3 on the miscast? He gets the big pie plate, and Strength 10 hits all around. So basically he kills 7 warriors, and his wizard takes a wound. He kills 5 savages, which is only because the template wasn't hitting that many, because they're, toughness 1. And then he kills 4 of his Chosen. And my BSB takes a wound, and he gets sucked into the warp, so no more casting from the level 4. I guess that's not too bad, but this is going to be 1. I mean, everyone thinks going to wound me on 2s in this combat. It's just terrible. Over here, he only manages to do 2 wounds, having to get off his steeds, and I stick, because I'm steadfast in a building. The Pump Wagon crumbles over here. He does a couple wounds, and then, just crumbles with Unstable. So in the combat here, he challenges with his BSB, and I accept with my champion. And I'm like, well, he's going to get to roll in the Eye of the Gods, but I don't want him to kill my BSB. I don't think he's going to wipe me out, and I kind of went back and forth. I didn't want my Shaman to go up there, even though my BSB had a 4-up ward save. I was like, nah. So I threw my champion up there, and he only hit with 1 and killed him. But got to roll in the Eye of the Gods and only ended up getting +1 initiative. I know I was chancing it, but I was like, gosh, there's just no good answer here, and I want some of the guys to fight back. He lands like 10 attacks or something like that from the Chosen, a whole bunch. He only ends up landing 4. And even with 2s to wound, only 4 come through to me, and however much it was pretty awful. And I ward saved 3 of them, which was pretty awesome. His warriors do a few, but I ward saved about 50% of them as well. And I threw 12 attacks back, ended up killing, I think, 3 Chosen, chopped up some of the warriors. My BSB killed a couple, and then he ends up winning by 1, maybe 2. Because I have a musician in there. He won by very low. I stuck, but I lost Frenzy, unfortunately. That's the moral of the story. Greenskins turn 3. I fail Animosity my Goblins, and they try to charge the War Shrine, and they don't. But I think I maybe took 1 or 2 dangerous terrain hits there. Random movement just sends my Mangler Squig screaming toward the end of the board, way away from where I want him, and same with the Fanatic. Goes the other way, too. My boar's reformed to say, all right, if you want to go at you want to take out the War Machine, go ahead. I'm just going to charge you afterwards and eat your points. So take your pick. During Magic, I don't really remember the count. I forgot to write it down. I end up getting Sneaky Stabbing off on the Savages, and then with the last few dice, I miscast Irresistible Force with Here We Go, and so now they're Armor Piercing and re-rolling their hits, but unfortunately, that's the Savages, by the way, I didn't mention that, and I end up losing 3 Wizard levels, and the only spell I know at the end of that is Fist of Gork, so probably not the best trade, because I'm going to die anyway. The Doom Diver takes aim at the last Skull Crusher, rolls a misfire, and blows up. So now, sadly, his Slaaneshi Steed guys are free to not have to engage the building to get the points, and he can just run away. In close combat, his BSB issues a challenge, and I'm like, alright, I'll accept my BSB. That's the best I can do. He's got a 4 board save. He whiffs completely. And I think I land 2 wounds on him, but he has a armor save, 2-up rerollable. And even with the high strength of the Great Weapon on my BSB, he ends up making his 2 armor saves. Then he lands about 10 wounds on me. I save 4. He lands about 4 more. I save 2. So I'm doing good with my 5-up ward, but I whiff everything back. I don't land a single wound, and I break, and he opts to pursue with just the warriors and catches me. Then he reforms with his Chosen. So, Chaos turn, what are we on? Chaos turn 4 here. He declares the charge on my goblins, and it's in their flank. And I was thinking, gosh, it's just going to be nasty, and I'm kind of far away. Let's flee. So, I fled. I don't think that was the right call in hindsight. He would have chopped up a bunch of them, but even in the flank, I'd have been steadfast, I think. So, but I fled and bounced through, and ended up taking like 10 losses in dangerous terrain. And I didn't really realize it at the time, but yeah, there's no more leadership around, really. So those guys are just going to keep fleeing. That was probably definitely the wrong call. He charges his 2 remaining warriors into my Spear Chukka. And the other guys failing the charge just kind of form up on the line. We got ourselves a standoff, baby. His steeds fail to march, but they do end up getting right out of my charge arc. So now we're going to play that stupid little game. During Magic, it's 11 dice to 7. So he's got all these wasted dice because he doesn't have a caster, but he picks up 6, throws it at the War Shrine, doesn't get Irresistible Force, but I've got 7, so I throw it and I dispel it. In close combat here, his warriors do 2 wounds, and one of the goblin just gets freaking charged up and puts a spear through the eye of one of the warriors. I like that. I know I'm going to lose that War Machine, but freaking love it. Greenskins turn 4. Here's where I make a really flippin' huge mistake that I didn't see at the time. It's like a 10, maybe an 11. I can't remember. It's a long charge, even with the banner for my Black Orcs. And I think, you know what? Let's just move up. He can come to me. I'm going to him. I don't really care. And I move the Boar Boys up as well, and I move the Spider up and around that marsh, thinking, oh, it's too dangerous. No one's ever going to go in there. So I'm like, you know what? If he charges me with those 2 guys, the remaining Skull Crushers, 1 wound on him. Yes, I'll eat those points for lunch. And he's got 1 night left. I'll eat that too. And that's what I'm thinking. I'm not worried about anything he has on the board. In fact, at one point he was almost going to concede like a turn ago, but I'm like, come on, let's see how it goes. So he stuck it out. And this is where I made a huge mistake. I failed to even realize that those Chosen aren't really blocked by that marsh. They can go right through it if they want. Who cares if they lose something? They're strength 6 now. I'm only tough to 6 on that Spider. So a little foreshadowing of what's coming. Over here, the Mangler just gets close to the board edge. So does the Fanatic, but they're not helping out. Nothing really to speak of in Magic. I don't even think I have a caster. That's probably why I didn't write anything down. The Warrior finishes off the Goblin on the Spear Chukka, by the way. And here it is, Chaos turn 5, what I didn't see at the time. So a long charge declared with everyone. First he declares it with, I think his Knight, or maybe his Skull Crusher. I forget which one. And I'm like, oh, I hold. Yeah, come on, bring it on. And then, like, once everyone's in, it's like, here come the Chosen of the War Shrine. I'm like, oh, damn it. But you know, at this point, they're going to be out of that charge arc on my Black Orcs anyway. It's just, I screwed it up. What are you going to do? So I had stuck the first time and decided, you know what, I hold. In fact, I think I stood and shot. I think that's what I did. I stood and shot trying to get the 1 wound left on the Skull Crusher. Yeah, didn't go through. So they're all in, as you can see here. His Hellstriders go into the butt of my Troll. I decided not to flee because they were so close they're going to catch me anyway, and maybe I can get lucky over here. I mean, just a Troll. The guy's been failing his Like, he literally, because where he was deployed, he had no chance on leadership 4. He has failed stupidity the entire game. His remaining warrior goes into the building, just feeling like it needs to get an emotional victory here. In close combat, I end up doing 3 wounds, and unfortunately with combat res, he breaks me and runs me down. But, you know, I felt I got a good couple swings in there. In the big spider combat, you can see here, there's no more spider. First, his chosen come in and they fail fear. They have a BSB, but they still fail it, which is nice because it means his BSB ends up whiffing all his attacks. But the chosen, they land 6 wounds. I mean, he rolled well to hit. I mean, like, they were almost all hits. And then it was only at that point just 4 up. So with those chosen remaining, they put 6 wounds of the 8 on the spider. His knight misses. So I split my attacks. I put 4 attacks on the knight and ended up killing it. And I put 4 attacks on the jug, and I rolled badly for the jug once, so I couldn't land it on him. He would have had a good armor save anyway, but I thought if I get lucky, I wanted the points for both. Got a little greedy, and then eventually the juggernaut, below the skull crusher goes and kills me. So this is the end of the game. At the end of the game here, I've only got about 500 points left. It's not the end of the game in terms of what turn it is, but I mean, he said, listen, I'm just going to avoid you, and you can't catch me. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm not going to be able to. He goes, I'm not getting in with those black orcs. Good Lord, no, that's terrifying. So, game goes to chaos here. So it was a fun game. Like, it was definitely one of those where, like, in the beginning, I thought I was like, yeah, baby, look at me in the flank of your skull crushes. But then, I mean, it's just the way it went. I made one pretty bad move right there at the end and end up costing me a ton of points. I mean, 290 points for Ragnarok, and got him out of position, so I couldn't really help. But it was fun. It was good to see a Chaos win. It was fun to see that War Shrine, and gosh, what else? I think it was just, in general, a pretty fun game. He had some bad rolling on his Chosen versus my Savages in the beginning, especially with that toughness debuff. I probably should have been gone way earlier than I was. And deployment was really pretty rough. Having Black Orcs that couldn't even make it into combat, and a spider that, as soon as he did, gave up his points, was awful. But I'm telling you, that Mangler was awesome. He got right into position and did what he was supposed to do. So can't complain too much. It just didn't come out for a win for me, but was damn fun. Thanks for watching.